Hey, what's up, Lobo Nation? It's Mr. Hudson, and welcome to our very first edition of Lobo Talk, where the discussion today, life after high school. Do you have a plan? What does that plan look like? Join me and some very special guests coming up now on Lobo Talk right here on Stu Bro Network. Can't wait to see you. Hey, welcome back to Lobo Talk. I am joined by some very special people that if you don't know, you need to know. First, right next to me, we have the lady who makes it all happen behind the scenes, the MVP of academics, our academic dean who attended UT at Tyler, Miss Ferris. All right, next we have your GPS to college and career. That lady has all the 411 grants, scholarships, programs, getting your FAFSA done. Our college and careers counselor from Texas A&M Kingsville, Miss Redmond.
Yay.
And then, finally, I'm excited about this one because I've been trying to get him on for a minute. The boss man himself, the living legend, our lead counselor, the guy that can tell you if you need credits or if you don't. He attended the University of Nevada at Las Vegas, Mr. Barker. So, again, we're here to discuss life after high school. So, first question I want to put on the table, why is it important to have a graduation plan?
I'll take that look as me.
All right.
Well, this is what I always say if we don't have a plan, is if your plan is nothing, then that's exactly what's going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have a way to move forward, and the biggest thing you need to realize that is your plan doesn't have to be that one job, that one career that's going to be a 35-year career. That seldom happens anymore. What you need a plan for is for the next 5 years. To step forward, what's going to expose you to as many possibilities that are out there, and so you can make those decisions as you go. And then also, when we talk about plan, is post-graduation plan, and also how do we get out of high school, right? So we got to make sure we get out of high school successfully, getting good grades, good GPA and a rank, and then we can talk about those post-secondary plans of what do you want to do after high school. So you're moving in a direction. If you're not moving in a direction, then you're sitting still.
I like that. So moving in a direction, handling business now, coming up with a plan for the next 5 years. So, Ms. Ferris, what does that plan look like, though? Well, what would you think that plan looks like?
Well, for some kids, it's different for everybody. For some kids, it looks like college. They've known since they were 5 that they're going to go to college and they're going to go to this college. And so they've been working toward that all along. For some kids, that wasn't necessarily a plan, but maybe now they've discovered it is, and so they're going to start a little smaller. Maybe they're going to hit vocational school or community college first, which is a little less expensive, and get some of that under their belts. We have opportunities here in high school that are a lot less expensive, like free, to do AP courses that get you college credit, or dual credit courses that get you college credit, so that you leave high school with a little boost. You're going in with some of those expensive college courses under your belt. And then of course there's scholarships, there's all kinds of things that you can be using to get ready for that path or that plan. For some kids it's vocation. They know that they want to move into a particular vocation. We've got lots of great pathways here at Lehman and Hayes ISD for those pathways, so that you walk out the door with a certification, you're ready to go, you're getting a paycheck, and then that's your plan maybe for the next 4 or 5 years until you move to the next thing. Maybe you are going to get some more college in that same career path, or maybe you're going to do that to make money while you get ready to do the next thing. I didn't become a teacher until I was 45 years old. I had a whole career before that led me down to the next path, and that's important to what Mr. Barker said. Like, your plan for the next 5 years doesn't have to be for the rest of your life. It just needs to, so that you feel comfortable walking out the door.
Just needs to be a plan. I like that. So, and I'm glad you led me straight into that. Miss Redmond, coming your way. If you have not been to the College and Career Center to talk to this lady, talk to her. Find out what
opportunity.
Exactly. What's some of the differences you would say between some of the universities, the colleges, trade schools, but also some of the things that you can help students with right there in your career center?
Absolutely. So definitely, when you think about university, that's your typical Texas State, UT, A&M, big 4-year university. Where you're going to go, you're going to come out with a bachelor's degree, you're going to know what you're doing, and that's kind of your path. But that's not for everyone. And I think a lot of times it's almost better if you're not sure. We have so many good opportunities here at Austin Community College, which is very close and has a lot of campuses, to start there and do one of two things. So at ACC, you can either get your associate's degree, which would be your 2-year degree that you would take with you to one of those 4-year universities, transfer, then graduate from any one of those just like anyone else, which would be all of your classes, like your Englishes, your math, your biology, just get your foundation done, your basics done. The other thing you can do at ACC is get a certification. They have a lot of programs that are 1 year, 16 months, 18 months, which is a trade school. They have their own area of trade where you go in, you want to be a phlebotomist, you want to draw blood, you want to be a pharmacy tech, you want to learn welding, you want to learn AC repair. Any of those, you go in and you say, hey, I'm not looking to get that associate's because I'm not going to go on to university, but I just want to go in, do my 12 months, learn how to be learn how to be a phlebotomy tech or a whatever ophthalmologist tech.
Yeah.
Whatever you're gonna do, you learn how to do that specifically, get your certification, come out and go straight into the workplace at a higher level job rather than just an entry level job with no training. So that's where we're at with that.
Cool. Yes, because I know for me, I started at a 4-year university. I started at UT Austin, and then things happened. I had to go home. Take care of family, and then I ended up in a trade school, Vista College, where I graduated with my associates in business management, which led me into the field of working as an executive for Sprint. Eventually led me into education, which what I love doing now. So now what I want to talk about is what programs and benefits do we have on campus. We talk about the CTE program. What programs and benefits do we have on campus now that promote college readiness? Anyone of y'all that want to take a stab at that one?
I'll take that one. So my class that I teach, that I have been teaching here, is called PATH, and that can mean a lot of things. There's really nothing that it actually stands for, which is a question I get a lot, and it just means we're going to put you on the path to do something. So like I said, it is on the path to a 4-year university, sure. On the path to ACC to get your certification, sure. On the path to take the ASVAB and join the military, sure. On the path to get your certification in high school through one of our programs that we have here to get a certificate to go straight to work, sure. But it is a pathway to make sure that you are ready to do something productive after high school, whatever that is for you. So that is I feel like the PATH class is a big help in helping you stay ready to do something after high school. But we also have a whole area of other things. Mr. Barker, do you want to talk about?
Well, I agree with you there, and especially Path 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3. So freshmen through juniors. Now the senior year, correct me if I'm wrong, we could jump into Path 4 if we just want to utilize that classroom as time to do our college applications, our financial aid applications,
Register
our
for the
local
SAT.
scholarships, and so test prep, making sure that we have the right SAT scores. In addition to PATH, so that's a class that we could put right into your schedule. Next year, you could also look into some of the other organizations that come on the campus. So we have College Forward that does similar items, but they have a class after school. We have Upward Bound. So these are federally funded programs that come on the campus and help a certain number of our students with their college applications and making sure they have a plan and a way to achieve those higher educational goals that they have.
And those programs, Upward Bound and College Forward, they do other things with our students. If you're a part of one of those programs, they're taking you on college visits and they're exposing you to what's to come, so that when you are at that moment, when you're ready to go, you're ready. You know where you're headed, you know what you have to have under your belt, you've had a little bit of experience on a college campus or in front of a professor. So those are top-notch programs that our kids have exposure to, have
And
access
a
to.
little known perk of being in those programs, so students that are on free and reduced lunch, they get free SAT waivers. They get a certain number of free college applications. If you're not on the free and reduced lunch program, being in the college forward and upper bound programs, being in a federal program allows you access to those free tuition waivers, not tuition waivers, free SAT waivers. So nice little perk.
Mhm.
Definitely, and I know being a CTE teacher, even some of our CTE kids, for some of the certifications and stuff they want to take, our program will pay for them to take it.
Mhm.
So I mean, why not take advantage of it? So before we take a quick break, we're going to go knock out one more question. What if I want to go to college, but I can't go right away? I mean, I got family, I got to go to work for a little bit. What should I do in that space, meanwhile, to prep me to get ready to go if I can't go right away?
I'm going to say that don't stop.
That's exactly what
Don't
I'm saying.
stop. Don't take a break.
Yeah.
And I know that people have obligations to family, and maybe you already have, maybe you're already involved in something like that. You're already working, and you need to keep forward. Every college around here has virtual opportunities, and I think that take a class, take 2 classes, take however many that you can squeeze in on your own time, virtually at night, whatever it is that you have to do. Don't take a break, because once you sort of sever that habit, you have a habit of coming to school every day, you have a habit of doing some homework and studying. Keep that up, even if it's only 1 or 2 classes at a time. You're knocking out a little bit until you're ready to do something more robust. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
don't sever that relationship with education, because it's really, really hard to get that habit back.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say a lot of times a gap year turns into a gap life. Not always, but what happens is you get more responsibilities, and you're not like, a lot of people say, well, oh, I'm going to save up for college. No, you're not, because you're going to get an apartment, you're going to get a car, you're going to have all these bills that
Right.
put you deeper in the hole and prevent you from doing your initial goal. So I think if you just start, and if you do your FAFSA and you get that money for college, I mean, a lot of kids get free money in grants to go to college, to take 2 or 3 classes at ACC or wherever, and just keep going, keep building that momentum. I know that Mr. Barker probably has one thing to say about the only time he thinks it's okay to have a break in school.
Well, the gap year is very specific. So a gap isn't I'm going to take a year off until I rekindle my
Passion.
desire for
Yeah.
our education, or it's not I'm going to work at Sonic for the next year to save money for college. I mean, realistically, how much money are you going to save in a year? That's probably not the good idea. But there are true gap years, and those are experiences and gaining resume builders. So a true gap year would be volunteering to go to South Africa to provide clean water to a village. Holy smoke! To
Yeah.
join a nonprofit organization and do work for a campaign or some type of nonprofit. That is an experience that's just going to build your resume, and it's work experience. And it's going to make you more employable in the future. It's also going to make you very desirable to a 4-year university as far as what you bring to that campus. So you mentioned I went to Las Vegas, Nevada. We had lots of students from the Mormon mission, the Mormon Church. They would go on missions for 2 years. They would go all over the country, all over the world, helping people, and they would come back fantastic, experienced students. So they bring something else to those universities. So you could become more desirable to a university or to an employer if your gap year is an actual experience and not a break.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because I know friends of mine that went to Morehouse. They did a gap year, and they lived in China for the year, in Hong Kong. And then they came back, and finish their studies and everything. So again, life after college. I mean, after high school. Ooh, I'm putting you in college already. What does that look like? So we're going to take a short break. We're going to have a few messages from some of our AV students. Stay tuned. We'll be right back on Lobo Talk. Hey everybody, I am Mr. Hudson, the proud instructor of audio and video production and graphic design here at Lehman High School. What if I told you you can get a jump start right now while in high school on your career? That's right, we have an amazing CTE program on all of our high school campuses here in Hayes CISD. You can learn how to be a graphic designer or do audio and video and work in a marvelous studio like this. Or you can do culinary arts, automotive. We got cosmetology and barbering, vet tech, you name it, you can go into almost any field. Watch this next video. Talk to your counselor today. Can't wait to see you. All right, welcome back to Lobo Talk. I'm here again with some very great friends and coworkers talking about life after high school. We talked about having a plan. What does that look like? Some of the programs. So we're going to dive a little deeper and talk about some things with you. Again, I'm joined with Ms. Ferris, our academic dean, Ms. Redmond, our career counselors, and our lead counselor, Mr. Barker. So now let's talk about, we talked about 4-year schools and trade schools a little bit, but Mr. Barker, let's dive a little deeper into, some of the differences about some of these programs and stuff that students may not really know they can take advantage of.
Yeah, so there's kind of a key difference between a 4-year university and a 2-year university, or even a trade school or vocational school. So let me back it up just a little bit. So if we choose not to do that, if we choose to go straight into work, typically the type of jobs that we're going to get are, of course, they're going to be hourly jobs, right? And they're going to be the type of jobs that you can go in and you can learn that job in the workplace, maybe that same day or in a matter of weeks, on the job training. Then that's where you're going to start getting your $12 and $15 an hour, right? You're learning as you go. Now, the advantages of going to a 2-year program or a vocationary school is because those type of jobs are also hourly based, but that's when you start to gain the experience. So you're talking about jobs that need experience. So how do you break down an engine? How do you operate a X-ray machine, right? So those are the type of jobs that are going to start earning $20 an hour, $25 an hour, and that's when you need to follow up with trade schools or 2-year programs or certificates at ACC. The difference between those programs and a 4-year university is the 4-year university is much more theory, right? And teaching you how to be a professional, to set up your own steps and procedures. So you could set up those procedures for the hourly employees. So all 4 of us are we're all salaried employees, right? No one comes in here and breaks down our day and tells us what station to go to. We're all professionals in our field. So we went to 4-year universities. We are by nature considered experts in those areas. So that's when you start getting salaried expectations, right?
Yeah.
You're not connected to a 8 or 9 hour workday. Sometimes it might take a 10-hour day, or in Miss Ferris's case, a 16-hour day.
Way too often.
Yeah, so just know that when you go a 4-year, it's more about theory. It's not about real life hands-on. It's about how do you develop your own processes to go into and lend that to a organization, or in our case, a school, and bring our own processes. So so when you're looking at those certifications, you're looking at how can I gain a skill at a program like ACC or a trade school. How can you earn a skill where you can earn those extra dollars, right? Where you could be a journeyman status, you could learn those extra skills that can make you more employable and more desirable. Because you can't just be trained on the job. You're going to have to go and get at least a 6-month certification, all the way typically 2-year programs.
Definitely. And this is my plea, especially to our freshmen that are watching our CTE program. And I'm not saying this just because I'm a CTE instructor. Really, look at these programs. Some programs require, like you were saying, an entry level. And some of those programs that require entry level is offered right here on campus. Auto mechanics and vet tech and biomedical science, culinary, audio and video production. A lot of that stuff is offered right here on campus. If you have not looked into it, start looking into some of these courses. It's never too early to really think of, like we said, that 5-year plan. We're not asking you to have a 30-year plan. I mean, I didn't have a 30-year plan. Well, I did, but the 30-year plan changed at least 7 times.
And it always does,
Right.
and
It
that's
does.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always
It does. I mean, it changed. I worked in the main office, as the PEMS person, and then that changed, and voila, boom, I'm back in the classroom. So it does change. So
And you are following some of the other interests that you have outside of your school time, right?
Exactly.
You are a preacher, you have other interests that you pursue. It's not just all about this is what I do, and this is what I do, and this is what I do.
And I just like to say, if you don't know exactly what you want to do for a long period of time, pick something that you're willing to do in that 5-year plan. But try to pick something that's going to expose you to as many other jobs as possible. So you mentioned our CTE program. We have a welding program. There's a place called Epic Piping over in San Marcos. It's about 7 miles from here. So if you got a job at Epic Piping, as a material handler or as a welder, you would soon be exposed to the skills that foremans need to have. There's a X-ray tech job. There's a safety director. There's a painting program. There's transportation programs. There's human resources. There's facilities and transportation. So a job like that, which is like, oh, I'm just going to be a welder. No, they've told me themselves when I've toured the facility, they don't expect you to be a welder, but 5 years. And then they expect you to learn other skills, gain other interests, talk to people around you, find out what they enjoy doing for work. What would they do differently? So, I often talk to our students and encourage those conversations with people just to gain that experience and find out what other jobs are out there. So try to find a job that's connected to other jobs, and you'll
Exactly.
learn as you go.
A career pathway, definitely.
That
Now,
speaks a little bit to work ethic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to be interested enough in what you're doing that you are seeking out those other opportunities and
Yes.
other things. I just want to know everything. When I walk in the door of a new place, I want to know what your job is. I want to know what your job is. I want to know, because whatever my job is, I want to know how I'm affecting your job. You know what I mean? So that we're all sort of
So-
doing the best that we can together.
And a quick stat, I believe the federal government, they outline about 1,500 different jobs, right? They label 1,500 jobs. Whereas if you ask the average student, sadly, our average student can only name about 11 or 12 jobs before they run out of ideas, right? So as a younger person, you just need to start exposing yourself to as many other employment opportunities out there as possible. You need to learn what's out there, because those experiences can help you.
And that leads me to my next question, which is coming for you, Ms. Redmond, our career guru, college and career guru. When I'm looking into universities or programs, what should I research? What is most important that I should look in when I'm looking at? Because I see, Prairie View, I see Lamar University, I see UT, I see all these wonderful schools. But what is the most important thing when I'm looking at my career pathway, whether college or trade school or paid apprenticeships? What should I look into?
For me, I think there's a couple of things you need to look at. Number one is going to be cost in versus salary. So, for as a teacher, teachers all per year. If you're a 1-year teacher, every 1-year teacher gets paid the same. Every 2-year teacher gets paid the same. So it's pretty even. So if somebody says, I want to be a teacher and I want to go to, say, TCU, right, somewhere that's generally pretty expensive, $100,000 a year maybe. And then somebody else says, hey, I want to go to ACC my first 2 years, and then I'm going to go to Texas State. And they end up spending, $25,000 to do that. When they get out, they're both making the same amount of money, but they've spent a lot more money to get there. So first I always say, what do you want to do? What does that salary look like? And how much is it going to cost you to go where you go? And so that's kind of a big thing for me. Same thing with trade schools. There are some trade schools that are for profit and they cost a lot of money and they make a lot of money off you getting your certificate. And there's trade schools that happen to be at ACC that are a fraction of the cost. So I always say, look at the cost versus how much you're going to make. Second is look at the demographics and how you're going to feel on that campus. If you can't do a actual visit, do a virtual tour. Get in a chat with other kids that are from there. Look up their hashtags. See what the culture's like. See what it feels like, and see if it feels like somewhere you could feel yourself growing and learning as a citizen and as a student.
Perfect.
Awesome advice.
Yeah, perfect. So
Where have you been all my life?
I know. Wow. All right. I don't know what to say after that. All right. So life after high school. Again, we talked about trade schools, 4-year universities, 2 years. I think we just about covered, everything. I mentioned I want to shout out HEB. HEB has what they call the HEB University. For those that don't know, when you work for them and you want to grow in that company, they will send you to their training facilities to train you how to be a manager, how to be a butcher, a cake decorator. Also, if you work for them and you go off to college, they do tuition reimbursement. They let you work while you're in college. When you come in for the holidays, you can get on the clock and get on the schedule. So again, we said all this to say, you have many options. Use them. You have many roads. Our road to success may not look like yours. So the last thing we're going to cover. Now, let me say this. the question was raised, credit. What about credit in the real world? We will have a separate discussion on credit and finances. I'll bring in a finance guru. We will talk about that because, yes, it is important that you learn now how to handle money, how to handle credit, and why it's important. I'm telling you from a personal aspect, you're going to need to know that. But with my lovely educators here, let's talk about credit in high school. Why is it important that we handle business to get our credits?
I'm going to address one thing, and that is, as you're getting ready to go to college, you're going to start getting credit cards in the mail. They're going to start coming to you because the credit companies are looking for someone who is inexperienced and will spend. And when you're going to college, you got clothes to buy, you got books to buy, you have shoes to buy, you have candy and food, and you're going to spend, and then that's going to put you in a precarious position later. I don't want to say that credit card companies are predators, but they know that you are inexperienced in the world and you're going to run that credit up, and now you owe them money. And they charge you, you don't just pay back what you spent, you pay back what you spent plus sometimes 30 and 35%. If you're not good with percentages, that means if you spend $500, you now owe them about $700. As a high school student, just be careful and choosy about how you spend that money that they're just giving you, because it's not a gift. I promise. They're going to take it back.
And I just think, credit refers to a lot of different things, right?
Yes.
So we have the credits that you earn for high school, right? You have your credit score based on your actions of what Ms. Ferris was talking about, right?
Yes.
If you want to generalize what credit means, is it's a way to judge an individual of, did they do what they're supposed to do, right? And do they do it on a regular basis, right? So if you've earned your credit in high school, we know you did what you're supposed to do, and now you could earn that high school diploma. If you've paid your bills on time and you haven't overextended yourself and you're trustworthy, then you're going to have a good credit score. So a good credit, whether it's high school credits or it's a credit score, two totally different things, one common word. It boils down to, did you do what you're supposed to do? Now, if you have, and you've done everything right, then people are going to open access to further opportunity, maybe lower interest loans, right? Maybe to universities, they're going to open their doors to you. Now, the inverse is true also. If you have poor credit, if you haven't earned your credits, or you have poor credit in the financial world, other people are going to use that to discriminate against you and shut the door to you. So doing what you're supposed to do in all cases, financial or academic, is always a good idea and will lead to better opportunities.
I like how you covered that.
So eloquent.
Yeah, cover both. Like, it's basically really doing what you have to do. Do any one of y'all have anything else y'all would like to address or say before we close out?
I'd like to compliment you on your studio here and your professionalism. I think this is a great idea, and I'm glad that you're offering this content to our students.
I do too. I think it's great for them.
Definitely, and I'm glad we're able to give them this conversation that is much needed. So with that being said, again, I want to thank my special guest for coming in and having this conversation. So again, all we're saying is there's many roads to success. I often tell students, my road may not look like your road. Find what you're passionate about. Find, can you make money in what you're passionate about? If you can, study it, perfect it, whatever. If that's a 4-year university, a trade school, ACC, a community college, whatever it takes, follow your passion, and if you can market that passion, go for it. So again, I'm Mr. Hudson here in the Stu Bro Network. Thank you for joining us for Lobo Talk, Life After High School. We'll see you next time.